Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Kate Deering. I am an associate director within Gies Online Programs and very excited to have you here today to talk about Gies Online programs and specifically our fully online, super innovative, affordable iMBA program. And then we're also going to hear from one of our current students. So I'm very excited to have a special panelist here today to really share what the actual student experience is like with you. So very excited. Before we get really into the meat of our presentation, there is a QR code on this first slide. I just wanted to point that out to you as far as having just a quick way to connect with one of our admission counselors. If you just scan that QR code with your phone, you'll fill out a short form, tell us a couple details, and then we'll connect with you offline in the next couple days to set something up to answer your questions and hear a little bit more about your goals. So while we're getting ready to dive in here, here's a quick poll. So we use technology in a lot of our online classes. This is a poll everywhere poll, and we always like to see where everyone's from. So if you scan that other QR code in the top right-hand corner, or you can just use that URL in the top left-hand corner, and pinpoint on our map. Let us know where you're joining from. I am actually in Champaign-Urbana here near where the University of Illinois is located. And Naveed, who's going to introduce himself here in a minute, is currently in the Chicagoland area. So we've got Illinois covered. Hopefully we see some global representation on the map. Oh, there we go. Our programs are global, and so you'll experience students in your live sessions and your group projects and in your coursework from all over the world, which is really cool and one of my favorite parts of our program. I get to meet people from all over the world, and it's really fun. All right. If you're having trouble accessing the poll, that's just fine. You can also throw in the chat where you're joining from, and we will check that out there. Awesome. Oh my gosh, Michael, that's pretty funny. So the local hospital here is the Carl Hospital, and it sounds like you had your appendix removed there. So hopefully it was a good experience. Excellent. All right. Well, it looks like we have an amazing group here today. And I do just want to say thank you for taking a step to learn about our programs. This is just one of our best ways to convey a lot of information in a short period of time, but also really allow you to ask your questions. I know this is a webinar, but we do have the Q&A feature enabled, which is a great place to put those questions. We can answer them there, and also everybody can see them located in one place. It's kind of easy to follow. I will also say our panelist, Naveed, will be able to answer questions there too. So as we're moving throughout our time today and you have specific questions about just the student experience or something pretty, pretty specific to that, Naveed can answer those as well. So Naveed, actually, I'm going to just jump to you since you are here today. We're so excited to have you. Can you introduce yourself, kind of share just a little bit of your background, and obviously you're in the iMBA program, and anything else that you'd like to share?
Sure. Thank you so much, Kate. Really appreciate the opportunity to be a panelist today, and welcome everyone. Hello. So my name is Naveed Shah. I am currently a iMBA student at the University of Illinois in the Gies program, and I'm about a year and a half in. I am a former U of I alum as well, so when I do get to my motivations of joining the Gies program, I was a little bit biased, but we can definitely talk about all the great benefits of the program. So a little bit about me. I am from Chicago, and I've worked in the CPG industry for over 12 years now. I've worked in a variety of different functions, from sales to trade finance to brand marketing to sales strategy and sales planning. And I'm looking to really get into the strategy and innovation space within the CPG industry, more with mid-tier. I've worked with big brands like Oreo, Sour Patch Kids, Toblerone, so big CPG, as well as challenger brands. And the most recent company I worked for was called Simply Protein. They're a Canadian-based organization that was looking to grow their brand within the US. And now I'm actively seeking my next opportunity. So really exciting to be a part of this program and have the opportunity to speak with all of you and answer any potential questions that you may have. So thank you again, Kate, for the opportunity, and I'll give it back to you.
Perfect. No, thank you for being here. Naveed is one of our student ambassadors, and so we can talk about that a little bit more here in a little bit, but just a great way to not only give back, but act as a leader within the program, meet all of you as prospective learners, and just, again, share the student experience. So today we are going to move pretty quickly because I do want to make sure that we are able to answer your questions. As I said, my colleague Megan is in the background and she's able to share any links that you need, any questions that you have. So feel free to add those again to the Q&A feature or the chat. We're going to run through U of I, the University of Illinois, just an overview, as well as the Gies College of Business. And then we'll break down Gies Business Online, just to give you a general idea of what we're about here. We'll talk, obviously, about the iMBA program and get into the nitty-gritty of the curriculum, everything that you're going to learn within the program. We'll give you a few application tips and tricks, and then we will wrap it up with some Q&A. So let's dive into the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. So this is obviously our large college that has a land grant mission that's really committed to being a public research institution with global impact through all of the education that it offers. It is located here in central Illinois with around 35,000 undergrad or so and 20,000 graduate level students. Some quick facts. We do have 29 Pulitzer Prize winners that have come out of Illinois. We are the number 9 ranked public university according to U.S. News and World Report, so very well respected. We are a top 5 university in national science funded research, which really speaks to providing our students to cutting edge research and also a lot of enhanced learning opportunities for them. Lastly, we have over 500,000 alumni, which is one of the largest alumni organizations that will really be there for support once you become, hopefully, a University of Illinois alum. So taking that a step further to the Gies College of Business, which is one of 16 colleges and academic units that is housed within the greater Illinois. We are really committed to upholding that land grant mission. If you have listened to our dean speak at all, she speaks a lot about this as far as offering credentials that are affordable and they're flexible, they're innovative, and just really, through our programs, making education accessible to anybody who wants to pursue it. So we do take that to heart, and that's kind of at the core of why we created these online programs. A few accolades here about the Gies College of Business. We are the number 1 biggest business school innovation of the decade, according to Poets and Quants. That was announced back in 2020. We have an amazing accounting program with the number 1 accountancy faculty, according to BYU rankings. We were the MBA program of the year back in 2022. And we're a top 10 public undergraduate business school in the nation, according to U.S. News and World Report. So a lot of great stats here. I think one of the most important ones, as somebody who's looking at online programs, is the Gies Business Alumni Group as well. That we have over 81,000 alumni that you will have as your connections after you graduate, as well as during the program, to network with and use as your resource. So I guess I'm going to share some information on just Gies Business as we dial into our online programs. We do have residential programs within the Gies College of Business, and then we have online graduate programs. So residential and online graduate programs. The iMBA is obviously an online grad program, and there are a few key elements that make up just Gies Business in general. And the number 1 thing that you'll hear, I think, our students talk about, and I'm sure Naveed will mention something about this, but is flexibility. I think our programs are designed for working professionals to be able to work and learn from wherever you're at. I know that, I'm sure a lot of you have business trips, you have a lot of vacation plans. You have 100% online access for all of your coursework and your live sessions within our credentials. So really designed for you. There's also a lot of flexibility as far as the degree planning is, you are in charge of how many courses you take at a time, which in turn is going to determine the pace that you move throughout the program. So you're choosing your path and you're also choosing your pace. Lecture times are flexible, and we'll talk about that. Hopefully we'll hear from Naveed on that. And then we also have a pay-as-you-go tuition model, which is really flexible. You only pay for each course that you're registered for, and you pay as you go as you move throughout your program. Second kind of key element is stackability, or our stackable credentials. And at Gies, as I said, we're dedicated to ensuring learning is really accessible to everybody, which is why we provide a huge portfolio of credentials that are tailored to each stage of learning, or wherever you're at in your learner journey. So you can, start wherever you'd like, and you can stack that into the next credential. So you could, for example, take a single course for upskilling. You could test drive that. And maybe you want to take a graduate certificate, which is 12 credit hours, or you can start with a master's degree. But each stackable step is going to earn credit towards that next level, which is nice. Lastly, online by design. So these programs are not adapted from in-person formats. They were designed from the ground up for your online experience, which is really nice. We intentionally kind of created a really engaging atmosphere with a lot of interaction, a lot of collaboration, which you could be surprised at in this virtual space. But that was intentional from the get-go. We are supported by amazing faculty members where you're going to tackle real world, case studies and projects collaboratively. And you're going to be interacting a lot with other students from across the globe, as we mentioned, really preparing you for success to impact your own, personal career. So, okay, I've been talking a lot. Naveed, which of those resonated with you, I guess? And I know you're kind of partial to being an Illini already, but I guess, when you were doing your research, as far as looking at MBA programs, which of these stood out?
Yeah, I think two stood out for me, the flexibility and the online by design. So I think flexibility for me was number one. I think COVID, if it taught me anything, there is an ability to do things remotely, and the learning process, which, learning is something I try and do every day, whether it's academically or otherwise. But flexibility is something that I really needed. So on more of a personal note, I do a lot of traveling for work. I do a lot of personal traveling as well, both nationally as well as internationally. My wife is, in Canada. She's in the process of moving. So I was at a time and am at a time in my life right now where I do need that flexibility. So being physically present within a classroom just wasn't feasible for me. So I really needed a program that would not hinder my learning process and allow me to get my MBA, but at the same time do it on my time and not necessarily on a set, strict schedule. So flexibility was the number one thing that I was looking for, without sacrificing the quality. And that's really, something that I saw within the Gies program. Again, as Kate mentioned, I'm a previous, U of I alum, so I knew that the quality was already there. Within the University of Illinois, I got my, communications degree as well as my business degree. So I was a dual degree, graduate from University of Illinois. And both colleges were absolutely amazing in terms of, students that I got to work with, but then also the professors and the TAs. So I was fully aware of the quality, and having spoken to previous Gies alumni from the MBA program, they spoke very highly about it. So those two things specifically stood out to me personally about the Gies program, and that's kind of why I lean towards applying, and fortunately got in.
Perfect. You are the poster child for Illinois. I love it. Okay, so let's break down the stackable build a little bit here because I actually saw a question in the chat about paying for one course. So hopefully we'll kind of, address that a little bit here. But regardless of where you're at, we have a starting access point for you. And so we'll have Megan go ahead and put those degree access points. There's a link to that so you can check out our website, which by the way, check out our website. It is an amazing resource. We kind of rehabbed it a few years ago, and it is just a wealth of information. So we'll share that link as well. But anyways, so regardless of where you're starting, all of our credentials, they stack and work together to help you reach, whatever your end goal is. It is designed to choose coursework while you dial in your career goals. So if you decide to pursue, a full degree, you can take the credits that you've earned, whether that be in just taking a one course, or maybe you start with a Coursera MOOC. All of these are going to continue to build and count toward your next credential, which is really nice. So you're getting credit for all of that work along the way. So you have the option to start with a Coursera MOOC, and we'll talk more about those here in a minute. That's where we share our foundational material in our courses. You could start with a 4 credit hour course taken as a non-degree student. You could start with a graduate certificate, which is made up of 12 credit hours, or you can start with a full master's degree. And you can even stack one of our master's degrees, the IMSM and credits from the IMSA, into the iMBA. So again, so many options. The only thing I'll say here is just talk with one of our admission counselors, and we can share the link to set up one of those appointments with them. They're great about helping you kind of decipher which credential to start with if you're unsure. So that's just a great way to have a conversation with us. Okay, we're going to dive into the iMBA program here in just a minute, but what's been holding you back? So, obviously you're interested. I know that I talk with a lot of students, and one of the biggest things as far as when I ask them at the end, like, what advice would you give? It's don't wait. You can kind of, if you wait for the perfect time, it's probably never coming, right? So that's just kind of a common hesitation, but what's been holding you back? Naveed, did you dive right in, or were you kind of like pretty dialed in that you wanted an MBA?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of right place, right time. An MBA was always kind of on my to-do list per se, but it needed to be the right time. And I needed to have certain experiences personally and professionally in order to then kind of lock down and apply for an MBA program and then, do the program. I really wanted to have, several years under my belt. So, I mean, with 10 years under my belt, I figured I had a pretty widespread of experiences in various functions within the CPG industry, and I was at a time where it made sense to me, both personally and professionally, to do the MBA program. But a lot of things that I see on here in terms of what was not necessarily holding me back, but it really needed to make sense. So finding the right program that was in an online format. Would I be able to give the appropriate time I needed to the program, because it can vary. I mean, the program is great in allowing you that flexibility. So you can take one class at a time every 8 weeks, or you can take two. So it really, based on your, schedule and things of that nature, you can kind of flex it as you need it. And then cost. I mean, doing the cost benefit analysis of the Gies program versus others, without hindering quality, the Gies program just made sense. Again, it can vary based on what you're looking to do, but I would highly recommend it if someone's looking at an MBA program. But I would say consider kind of what you want to do with it, because that's definitely important, especially if you're making an investment, not only of your time, but also your hard-earned money, right?
Totally. I love that you just addressed both cost and time commitment. And it looks like we're kind of, just divided here. We'll talk about the cost of the iMBA program and our pay-as-you-go tuition model, which is great. But the time commitment, you kind of addressed that, Naveed, taking one or two courses at a time. And you could even take a course or a term off. Like this is your degree. You have a maximum, and we'll touch on this, of 5 years to complete your iMBA program. And so you're allowed that freedom. And again, we are flexible. We know that you have a lot going on, and sometimes work is busy or you have a project and you just can't do school. And that's okay. As far as time commitment, though, if you take one course at a time, Naveed, versus two, can you just talk a little bit about the time commitment, like on a weekly basis?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll range. So the student body that has taken, has done the MBA program or the MSA program or the MSM program, they have been absolutely amazing and actually doing student led surveys of previous coursework. So depending on if you are more quantitatively minded or qualitatively minded, um, you depending on the course you're taking, for instance, for microeconomics, I'm more of a qualitative minded person, so that's more quantitative. So the time that I was allotting to that course for that 8 week period was anywhere from 20 to 25 hours a week, so it was almost like a part-time job, just because I wanted to spend some extra time not only in learning the material but then also applying it. I would say depending on the course you take, it could take an average of 15 hours. There are some classes, some courses that are easier than others, but again, that depends on kind of, are you qualitatively minded or quantitatively minded? So I would say about an average of 15 hours per week. That could be on the high end. I personally wanted to just take one course at a time so that I could keep everything balanced, family, work, school, traveling, having some personal time to actually, relax. So I think, having talked with previous alumni, they said if you do have the luxury of time, taking one class at a time to really sink your teeth into the course material, but then also having the ability to apply it, would be an advisable route. So that's kind of the route that I'm taking right now. But people flex up, people flex down, as Kate mentioned. Once you start the program, you do have 5 years to complete it. So it really depends on kind of what your situation is and kind of what you're looking to do, as well as your schedule. So a variety of different factors.
Awesome. Great explanation. And again, we're pretty flexible with that. We have a full academic advising team, and you'll just work with them on your degree plan. And if you did need to, take an 8 week term off, that's something that you just discuss with them and go ahead and do that. So okay, jumping back into our presentation, graduate certificates. Just wanted to touch briefly on this. If you're not quite ready, once we get through everything today for the full iMBA, this is an excellent option to start with, because again, these 12 credit hours will stack into the MBA. Graduate certificates are made up of 12 credit hours. They're focused knowledge in on a specific skill set or area where you can earn that credential and then really be able to kind of develop some mastery in that area and be able to share that with your employer. Maybe you need to show some professional development on a short-term basis. This is a great option. It can be one and done, or you can, again, stack it into the full master's degree. You can stack one of these into the IMSM and the IMSA, or you can stack two into the iMBA for a total of 24 credit hours. So we have general business grad certs, and then we also have accounting specific. So we can share this link if you're interested in these, or if you have any other questions on these, we can definitely answer those. Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of the iMBA, the Online Master of Business Administration. This degree is going to take you on a much deeper dive into skills needed to run an entire business with management. You're going to have accounting classes, finance. It also is going to focus in on learning a lot of business theory behind current trends that are happening. There are also a ton of real world projects with a lot of practical applications. So I know we mentioned earlier talking about the interactions and the collaboration that you'll have in our coursework in general. That's how you really are going to absorb the foundational material and learn through those live discussions, with your faculty members and fellow students. So Naveen, I'm going to throw it back to you. Can you explain just kind of what I'm talking about, the practical application, and maybe give an example of what that looks like in a course?
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking a course right now, finance and banking, and it really talks about, the banking industry, not only how it has evolved over the last several decades, various crises that have happened, the market crashing back in 2008, but then how things that are going on right now from a policy perspective, with the current administration, regardless of which way you go, how it impacts, the banking industry, and how it impacts, in addition to kind of all of that, there's been a lot of conversation within our class on, the real estate market right now, and how COVID really started kind of this kickoff of remote work. We're talking about a remote program right now, but remote work has really, impacted the commercial real estate market. So we're having a lot of those conversations right now. So it impacts, not only, the entire market that we all exist in as professionals, whether we're working in a hybrid model or a remote model or being mandated to go into the office, but in addition to that, it also impacts the housing market for us personally, for those that are either, currently, homeowners or potentially looking into home ownership, things of that nature. So, the course that I'm taking right now kind of applies on both fronts for me, both personally and professionally. So it's a learning on both fronts for me. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. So does that look like usually a like one group project in an 8-week term or two, or is it vary between coursework?
Yeah, it varies between coursework. So, for some courses, there could be two projects. So the way, 8 weeks are usually split up, there's two, MOOCs, as we'll probably get to within the session, but there's 8 modules total that kind of span that 8 week. And usually the first 4 modules, you'll review individually, but then as, you're going over those modules week in, week out, they'll likely be kind of one group project, again, depending on the course that you're taking. And you'll be, doing that one group project for the first 4 weeks, and then submit. And then for the second, 4 weeks, for that second, set of 4 modules, you may have a kind of part two to that first group project. So it can range from one project to two. I haven't had more than two. And then, if you're doing one of the capstone projects, as you see on the screen here, for any of the specializations that you're doing, that'll kind of be a 2 to 2.5 week group project. And within those group projects, you're either assigned a group, or you do have the option to select, group members that may be, wanting to do the same capstone as you. So it's a pretty unique experience.
So the iMBA is going to include 72 credit hours, which is going to break down to 18 courses that you'll take. The way we structure that, and I have another slide that will explain this a little bit better, but you'll do a total of 6 specializations. Each specialization has 3 courses within it. So you'll do that total of 6. It's a combination of core specializations and then some elective choices called focus areas. We do have capstone project requirements. There's going to be 2 that review 2 of those 6 specializations. That's kind of what Naveed was speaking to just a moment ago. And then you'll have a program capstone, which is kind of a large capstone project, a month-long project that you'll complete before you graduate, that is going to encompass everything that you've learned in the program. So a very neat kind of wrap-up project. So the tuition is just over 26K US dollars. And again, pay-as-you-go tuition model. You're never going to have to pay that whole 26. You'll just pay for each course that you're registered for in that term, which is really nice. So you'll spread it out over time. Anywhere from 2 to 3 years is typical, but you have that maximum of 5 years, which is really nice. So everybody is on their own path. They're on their own timeline. You might start classes with a specific kind of cohort, but typically you're going to end up on your own path. You'll be in and out of, different coursework with some of your favorite fellow students, but everybody's got their own thing going. 5 start dates, January, March. Our summer term is May, and then we have 2 fall terms, August and October, that are coming up. One note too, just before we move on, if you've completed the IMSM program, those 36 credit hours can be stacked into the iMBA program. So you would complete that, you would fill out an application for the iMBA program, like a stacking application, and you still do need to be admitted into the MBA program. It's not a guarantee, but we'll look at your records, obviously your GPA and your application materials and do evaluation there. But that's a great option if you're not quite ready for the iMBA, or potentially if you don't meet the 3-year minimum work experience requirement for the MBA program, the MSM is a great place to start. And then the MSA, the IMSA also stacks into the MBA program as well, if you're interested in that option. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about the class profile of, the students that you'll be in class with. It is a global program, as we said, so you'll be learning from people from all over the world. Before every course, you do have, I thought of this earlier, a group preference form. And so in order to make sure you are working with diverse minds, you'll fill out a form that asks you questions about what industry you're in, what your time zone is, when you like to do your work. And we'll try to create the most diverse groups that we can, before every course. So just this is kind of a nice way that we organize those groups. We have a pretty mature population in the iMBA program, so an average age of 37, with 11 years of work experience. So again, we have that 3-year minimum, but the students in our program are they have a lot of professional work experience to back up their position in the program. Let's see. So 79% are domestic, so we've got about 21% global students, 100 countries represented, as well as 50 US states. And then, as far as the level of industry, experience, we have 88 Fortune 100 companies that are represented with that experience. So I guess, Naveed, can you just kind of touch a little bit on kind of who's been in your group projects and the level of expertise and who you're learning from within your courses?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so on the first note, I mean, the individuals that I've gotten to meet through the program has not just been domestically. So I've, met folks from a variety of different, states, from the East Coast, from the West Coast, also from the Midwest. But I've also had group members joining from around the world. So a part of those, 100 plus countries represented. So I've had group members from Russia, from Poland, from Japan, from Singapore. And that's one of the things that I actually wanted out of the program, or out of the program that I would apply to, was to be exposed to as many different types of individuals, both personally and professionally, as possible, because my aspiration one day is to be in a global role, where I do get to, not that I haven't worked with, global, individuals, previously, but just get more exposed to different industries, different cultures, different individuals, to kind of broaden my mindset within the business world. So, having had the opportunity to work with individuals from different countries as a part of the program has really been great. And just even on a personal note, if you're not looking for that professionally, on a personal note, I just really enjoy meeting people from different areas. So that's really been great. And then you also get exposed to different industries. Me coming from the CPG industry or the food world, a lot of individuals have gotten to learn, from myself, on what it means to commercialize a pack of Oreos or a pack of Toblerone or a pack of like Sour Patch Kids. They had no idea kind of what goes into it. I, on the same token, had no idea, all of the ins and outs of, being a product manager. There are a lot of parallels between the two, specifically when you're thinking about like a brand manager or a product manager. Brand manager deals with physical products, perhaps within the food world, whereas a product manager deals with digital products, and they have a whole slew of processes and, ways in which they go about doing that. I had no idea, what kind of goes on behind the scenes, but having been in the program, having met with several PMs, I've gotten kind of the behind the scenes look on kind of what they do and how they do it. So you really get exposed to different industries that it may be more difficult to get exposed, by sending someone a LinkedIn message to kind of connect with them. So the program really offers you the opportunity to get exposed to people from different countries, people from various personal backgrounds, but also people from various industries that you may have a challenge doing, outside of a program.
Yeah, I think it does really connect people, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Just sometimes people don't believe that you are going to meet people and be able to really, get to know and be friends and colleagues with the students in the program. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And we'll talk a lot more about networking here in a little bit as well. But I did want to touch on career impact because hopefully you're thinking about this as you're researching programs. But earning a degree in business administration will, put you in a great spot, obviously, to impact your career in life. But we wanted to survey our graduates and ask them so that we had some data to back up the progress that our students see as far as, for instance, earning a promotion, job offer, or accepting a new position. 62% of our students said that they did, and they experienced on average a pay increase of 25%. So really great numbers there. The satisfaction rate is very high, as well as 95% applied what they learned directly to their work. So I know, Naveed, you just mentioned you're kind of looking for a job, but um, I, can you talk about the immediate impact, I guess, just from like the day-to-day live classes, or if you did experience like a larger kind of jump?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the courses that I've taken thus far have really allowed me to, I mean, I've taken the strategic leadership concentration last year. That was one of the very first that I did with Professor Luckman. And it really gave me the opportunity to apply that in my most recent role. Coming from a big CPG to a small CPG company that is really in the stage of a challenger brand, looking to grow their brand within a completely different, market, and with an organization that is minuscule compared to a big company. So you're talking about 30 employees versus, hundreds of thousands of employees. You really have to manage personalities. You have to manage communication. You have to learn how to communicate effectively, especially with the smaller team. So it really allowed me to take the concepts that I had just learned and really apply those, frameworks and concepts to my actual, day-to-day job. So there is that applicability, that I receive kind of almost immediately. And as I, search for my next opportunity, as I go through this program, there are plenty of concepts, and things that I'm learning and will learn within the next, 2 years. As a part of the program that I'll be able to speak to in job interviews and my future role that I'll land here hopefully soon. So I do think there is that applicability that comes almost instantly, but you have to be very persistent and very deliberate about it, and really think through, hey, this is what I'm learning. How can I apply it within my professional environment and your personal environment, right? Because I think, even the coursework that I'm taking right now, kind of like I mentioned before, where you're talking about how the commercial real estate market is being impacted by everything that's going on right now. It's also impacting, the real estate market from a person, so for home buyers. So that's something I'm learning on a personal note as well, is like, hey, what is the right time to buy? Is it now? Is it later? Obviously, there's two sides of that debate, but for another Zoom call and another day. But definitely a lot of things that I've learned thus far, I've been able to apply, both personally and professionally.
Excellent. It's nice to have something to show too as you're moving, throughout your coursework. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about how our courses are structured. So, whether you take just take one course as a non-degree student. Maybe you start with a grad cert or the MBA program. All of our courses are structured very similarly. They have two components. They have an asynchronous component and a synchronous component. So the asynchronous component is where those MOOCs or massive open online courses are going to come into play on the Coursera platform. So that serves as the foundational material in each of our 4 credit hour courses. It's made up of pre-recorded videos from our faculty. You'll have some quizzes, you'll have some reading assignments, and some peer evaluations. So I saw a question in the chat. If you've done any of our MOOC material or taken one of our MOOCs on the Coursera platform without being an admitted Gies student, that is amazing, first of all, because you're seeing some of our content. But you, if you earn that certificate, or if you've just done a few modules, that progress will migrate and we will count that in your credit. So that's how that stacks. It doesn't count as transcript credit per se, because you still have to complete the synchronous component, which is the kind of second component of our coursework. But when you are admitted and we link up your Coursera email to your new Illinois account, we will recognize any of that progress. So that's what we mean by stacking MOOCs into the coursework. The second part of the coursework is the synchronous component. This is going to be housed on the Canvas platform. It builds on that foundational material through one 90-minute live session each week, where your faculty member will be in the live session. You'll be having conversations, listening to the information they're sharing. You'll have breakout sessions, very interactive and collaborative. And then you'll have individual assignments, which we can have Naveed maybe touch on, group projects where you're working with those 4 to 5 other students. And then there's also faculty office hours. So you'll be able to get to know your faculty member, ask those questions of them, and have that as a great resource. So what am I missing, Naveed, as far as balancing like the Coursera modules and the high engagement component?
The only thing I would say is manage your time. I think there are a lot of things to juggle in life. Obviously, everyone's at, a different stage within their lives. You could, be an early professional just on your own, no family, or you could have a family, you could have kids. I've, had, group members that do have families. They are night owls. They study at night. But one thing I've learned, I personally don't have kids. It's just my wife and I, but we still have to manage our time with our, schedules and things of that nature. I would say manage your time, schedule it out. I personally, allot at least an hour to 2, 5 days out of the week to kind of make sure I'm keeping the content fresh in my mind, just so that I'm not getting, backed up and keeping up with the course. So I would just say manage your time. So similarly, how you schedule meetings at work. I'm sure there are a lot of you on this call that have, meetings from 9 to 5 every day, back to back. I would say, schedule time to study, and do it when you're kind of there, fully, with your mind, and are ready to learn. And put the time on your calendar and go about it that way. I'm a big believer in slowly chipping away rather than overwhelming yourself at the end of the 4-week period or 8-week period to go through all the Coursera material. And I really think if you schedule your time, there's no issue with going through the content and learning it at the same time, and then being able to apply it eventually.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I am not a procrastinator either, Naveed. That gives me like heart palpitations. But it's a rigorous program. We're just being honest. But you do, so his point is just you need to keep up, and time management does come into play. So so breaking down the curriculum here, we do have a combination of core courses and coursework with focus areas or elective work. So these 4 areas on the screen are going to be your core specializations. Each of those, again, has 3 courses within them. And then you're going to have your focus areas, where you're going to choose 2 of these focus areas. Now, I saw a question in the chat. We just, regarding healthcare, we just launched our 6th focus area that is health innovation, design, and entrepreneurship. That's launching this fall. So we're really excited about that as another option. The other option you have is choosing an elective path. So you can, for one of your focus areas, choose an elective path that is from any of the electives that we offer. Now, you wouldn't be able to do a capstone project on that because you're kind of pulling courses from different places. But if you're interested in a lot of different things, you'll pick one focus area and then do an elective path. In addition to that, we have another option, which is the agribusiness and sustainable food production economics. That is an additional elective specialization that we also offer as well, if that interests you. Capstones, we talked a little bit about the capstone projects. These really bridge the kind of knowing and doing gap for you. And then what else? Embedding a graduate certificate is a newer thing that we've launched recently, where it gives you the opportunity to earn a transcriptable credential during your time in the iMBA program. So you can, not only are you learning, but you can showcase that knowledge to maybe your employer in the short term. So you can choose one of the first 5 focus areas on this slide to go ahead and designate as embedded grad certs, where you'll note it on your transcript. You'll also earn that actual grad cert diploma. One caveat: if you've already stacked grad certs into your MBA, the maximum is 2, whether you embed or you stack. So just note that when you're kind of planning for these. Okay, so for the sake of time, I'm just going to move a little quicker here through these next couple slides. Several questions in the chat. I think Naveed answered them about the I before the iMBA. So this really is referencing the method of delivery only. It won't be listed on your transcript. Your diploma will be a Master's of Business Administration from the University of Illinois. So you don't need to worry about that. Let's jump a little bit to faculty. And I think this is another thing that really sets us apart. Our faculty is amazing. In fact, they're just really relatable. They like to get to know their students. They offer these faculty office hours. Do you participate in those, Naveed?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a huge help, especially with, certain assignments and or if you have questions. You can, every professor that I've, had and met with during office hours has a great bedside manner. And they're always willing to answer questions and not just give you the answers, but really allow you to think through kind of to the solution yourself. So yeah, I definitely participate in the office hours.
Yeah. I've heard of some of them, they just pile them on too. Some of them will offer them, 4 times a week because I think they really just enjoy them. So, behind the faculty, we have over 70 faculty members that teach in online programs. We have 250 teaching assistants that help with grading and support in those courses. On the Gies side, we have over 55 staff members that are really putting a lot of effort into the content and the delivery of this, of the course curriculum. So just know there's a lot of support there for you, and just a lot of heads have come together to create this structure. Our live sessions are housed and hosted in the business instructional facility on campus. We have six studios there, and then we have a brand new building that's coming to completion this fall called Stephen Weimer Hall, where we're going to have 7 additional really amazing studios, really bringing some of these AI features and things into play. So those are going to be really cool as well. I'm going to skip over this next video and ask Megan to drop Professor Hayden's live it's just a quick snippet on a live video that you can watch that really kind of gives you a sense of what a live session is like, just for the sake of time. So you can join that link and check it out on your own time. Networking. I do want to touch on this. This is a common question. How are you going to network in a virtual space like this? And this is really, I love watching students realize how many opportunities there are for you to get to know your fellow students, meet your faculty members, be on a name basis. And the way that we do that we host a lot of events, and then our students have a lot of kind of student-led opportunities that are supported in the program. College-led opportunities, we have iConnects. These are meet and mingle events. We have iConverge, which is our fall event. It's a 3-day conference for professional development, really. We have lots of great sessions. We usually hear from just our leadership team. The dean usually has a session. We'll go to you'll get to experience a Midwest tailgate, go to the football game, the Illini football game, and hopefully they win. But just a really cool experience, and we invite all of our online students as well as alumni to that. Immersions are amazing. These are basically business projects that we will host domestically and internationally, where you'll go on this trip and with a group of maybe 30 to 50 students, immerse yourself within this a specific company's problem that they present. And so you will come up with solutions to that, always different case studies, but and then it ends in kind of a competition where you present your ideas to the company, and throughout the immersion you're visiting local businesses to see how business is done. You're going on a lot of cultural excursions. It's an amazing experience. It will count as one of your capstone projects in the iMBA program. So if you do participate in one of those, just know that there is an extra cost involved, and you do have to apply. So not everybody will be able to do that. Naveed, I guess any of those that you want to just highlight, and then as far as student-led opportunities, or I guess just like what's your favorite way to network?
Yeah, there's so many different ways that you can network, as Kate just mentioned. I mean, a couple that I've taken advantage of is group work. Group work within your course, you're going to have group work, so that's an automatic great way of connecting with people. Within your group, obviously you'll be working with them, but then you can kind of understand where they're from, what they do, etc. There's also student-led meetups within the US as well as abroad. There are pockets of so many students. I know San Francisco has a big Gies alumni network. Chicago does as well. I've heard Toronto does as well. Singapore, I've heard, has a great uh, uh, group of individuals that have been a part of the Gies program. So there's a lot of student-led meetups as well as the ambassador program, which I'm a part of. I've gotten the great opportunity to meet individuals like Kate, Megan. I know I don't think we've met yet, but hopefully maybe at iConverge this year, which is iConverge is another one that I've been to last year. It was a great opportunity to meet people that I hadn't met before. So I also, got to meet them, but then also some of the professors that I've had within the last year. So it's a program that has ample opportunities to network with individuals, both virtually as well as in person. One quick story, I would say last year's iConverge, I met someone that had come from Japan. They had planned their entire US holiday based on iConverge, and they were going to be spending like a month within the US, but they planned it all around iConverge, which just goes to show you just how much people really care about the program, but then how much weight they put on iConverge. And I see it in the chat. Naveed is probably in this picture. I missed the group picture on the quad. I was so
Oh
pumped.
no.
There was a
Shoot.
there was a WhatsApp chat separately, so I jokingly made like a sticker of myself and kind of put it on there separately. But that was the
Bummer.
picture I missed. But hopefully this year in September, I'll be a part of the shot. But thank you for the shot.
Yeah, for sure. So I love that you mentioned the group work at just the most basic level. Like you're gonna meet
Yeah,
people, you're gonna make those connections, even if you don't pursue any of these other things. Now, will your experience in the program be enhanced by taking part in some of these opportunities? Absolutely. Those students have the most fun. They take the most out of the program. So definitely try to do that if you're a current student. So I kind of just flashed some pictures there. We can kind of move through those because I do want to make sure we get to the application. Learner support, we did touch on this a little bit. We do have a full advising team. They're here for you. So they have lots of ways to connect and help you with your degree plan. Any issues that you have, you are going to go to the student and academic success team. Also saw some questions about career resources. And so just, in our programs, our programs really attract full-time working professionals with an average of probably 10 to 12 years of work experience. So when you think about that level of work experience, career support looks different. Okay. So it's not about an internship or a job fair. We don't really have to do that because everybody is already pretty into their first job. It's more about how are you going to grow? How are you going to transition to the next level? And the way that happens is hopefully you're getting our point. It's through those peer-to-peer connections that you're making in our program. That's really the strongest resource that you'll have, this kind of really powerful group of professionals that you'll have engaging in your group projects in those, discussions you're going to have on the platforms that we offer. And even through all these networking opportunities, that's where you're really going to bond and you're going to be able to help one another. We do have a huge alumni network as well. So just know, like once you've graduated, your time's not over with us. We have over 81,000 Gies Business alums. We have a huge alumni engagement team that really brings those people together. And we're actually currently working on kind of restructuring that and making it even more amazing here in the near future. That's a strategic priority for Brooke Elliott, our new dean. If you need these resources that are listed on the screen, those are also there for you. Interview help, there's resume help, things like that. We do have those resources as well. Okay, jumping to the application. So if you want to fill out this poll, but for the sake of time, we're going to jump to the application tips and tricks. And so let me know in the chat if there's a specific question that you have about the application, if you've already taken a look at it. I'm here to tell you it's not difficult. It should not take you forever to fill this out. We just need a simple resume. We do require a bachelor's degree with a minimum GPA of 3.0. I did see Megan answering some great questions about that 3.0 requirement. We have a little flexibility there. Just know that that is our minimum requirement. If you're interested in, the performance-based admissions track, Megan did put a link into that. That's if you fall below the 3.0, maybe you have a large gap in your work experience, or you just want to kind of try out the program on a slower pace as a non-degree student. And then once you kind of meet the PAT requirements, we'll automatically admit you into the degree program. So check out that link if you have questions about that. But as far as bachelor's degree, full transcripts, as far as the application goes, we just need unofficial transcripts. Once you're an admitted student, we will go ahead, the grad college will require official transcripts during your first semester. Let's see, 2 recommendation forms. These are very easy, so don't get stressed about the recommendations. We just need the name and email, and then you can actually submit your application. That won't hold you up. We'll give them some extra time to submit a form that we actually just auto email them as soon as you put their name and email in, and they'll fill out that form, or they can do a letter if they'd like in addition to that, but that's not required. Okay, I think that's it. English proficiency is required for international applicants. We can drop the link into those exemptions as well as the requirements for that. No GRE or GMAT, and we do have a scholarship. I just noticed that spelling mistake there. We do have a Coursera scholarship application and also an additional Forte fellowship application that are offered they're coming up for spring. So that deadline would be September 4th. That is the final deadline. So it's our priority 1 deadline. So if you're interested in applying for those, you do need to meet that. Basically, you'll apply through your program. You'll apply to the iMBA program. And then after you submit that within the portal, there will be an application for scholarship. So that's where you'll find that. Give us 2 to 3 weeks to review your application, and we will either send you a decision, missing materials email, or we'll invite you to interview. So the iMBA program, we do invite you for a 20-minute Zoom interview. Nothing to be stressed about, just with someone from my team. And we're just going to get to know you a little bit, kind of learn about your goals, why you think this degree is going to help you, and just, not a stressful scenario. So don't get nervous about that. And then we'll let you know about a week to 2 weeks after that interview. Okay, next deadlines coming up. August 7th to start in October. So we just passed our August deadline, which was June 5th. So you're not too late. You can still apply for an October start. And then also going back to that, if you were really into starting in August, you can start as a non-degree student and just take one course. That deadline is coming up on July 3rd. So graduate certificates and non-degree courses, you still have time to start in August. So that would be that July 3rd deadline. Okay, so Naveed, what, thinking back to before you took this whole program on and this big step, think about your advice. What would you say to everybody here? They're probably like a little overwhelmed with all this information today, but I guess, just what's your advice for them?
Two things. One, be confident in your decision as to why you want to do an MBA before you even, decide on this program or another program or what have you. So be clear on your vision and your motivation to do the MBA program. And then secondarily, I would say, but just as important, have a plan. Whether you're talking about doing an MBA program, have a plan to then apply it. Once I get my MBA, what's my plan after that? But then also have a plan in the sense of, financially, what's my, payment plan? Like what are, how am I going to pay for it? But then also have a plan to schedule it. Like we were talking about earlier, some courses require a bit more rigor, whereas others may not require as much rigor, depending on, whether you have kind of a qualitative mindset or a quantitative mindset. So really the second point that I would say is have a plan. Those are the two things that I personally believe really allowed me to kind of get my mind right in applying for the program, but then also, remain balanced and, prioritize as I needed as I'm going through the program right now. So those are the two things that come to mind right now, but I'm also happy to share my information, my LinkedIn. I already got a request from someone that's on this call right now. So I'm happy to, connect with anyone if you have questions about the program in general or about your application. I'm always happy to help. Always, looking to bring anyone on to the Gies community. Again, like I said at the beginning of the call, I'm biased, but it's a great group of students, great group of professors. So if there's anything I can do to help, just let me know.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing your LinkedIn. I know our students are very active on LinkedIn, and it's also just a great, career resource, obviously, to connect with people. So thanks for sharing that. Megan did share that live lecture preview video in the chat. So before we jump off, if you want to just click on that, that's just a great way. He's one of our Professor Hayden Noel is just a really fun, interactive professor. So that gives you a good idea of what it's like. Thank you so much, Megan. You were very busy in the chat. We had some excellent questions. And Naveed shared his LinkedIn information. I think that's it. So this last screen has our email or phone. You can find me on our admissions our staff page. I'm happy to chat with you as well. And again, that QR code will connect you with our admissions team and they can set something up to talk with you. So I hope you had a great time today. It's always fun for us to bring more people in and answer your questions and really share just an amazing program. Sometimes I just pinch myself because it's so fun to work with you all. And we have great students like Naveed in our program. And so I really enjoy working here and sharing this information. So Naveed, I know you're super busy. Really appreciate you being here. You just had some great experience to share, so thank you. And we'll wrap it up. I'm sorry we're 3 minutes late, but hopefully it was worth it, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Have a great day.